Hey everybody, Real Estate Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. We're going to talk today about a catalyst because it is different this time. But I'm going to be able to use an example from the Great Recession, the housing crash of 2006 to 2010. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to use an example of a story out of Summit County. And it has to do with short-term rentals. And what you're about to see, inventory is already picking up around the country. It's not only cyclical, but it's a part of a much grander plan, and I'm going to do a story about that later about people that are now being forced to sell their homes because they're moving into the rental markets. It's going to be amazing, but we're going to talk about short-term rentals. Now, why is it different this time? Before I go into the story, it's different this time because simply in 2005, 2006, the run-up of the 2008 crash, that 2005, 2006 timeframe, we did not have apps like Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rentals. The concept of taking a home and turning it into a short-term rental didn't even exist. Yet when it became mainstream, especially around 2018 to 2022, when people started buying up homes like crazy, using these apps and turning homes into hotels, taking homes off the market, it did something that we have never seen in the history of our country. And just so you know, when you see times like that, when things aren't normal, you have to be able to identify how it can go wrong, even though most people, 99% of the public are looking at all the money they can make, and the 1% are going, I can see how this is going to go bad. And when you identify how this can go bad, and we've talked about it for years on these channels, both this channel and the Economic Ninja channel, you are going to be able to make money from the bust. Well, now let's go over this story and I'm going to explain how this bust is about to happen. And it's going to be very similar to when people started feeling really rich in 2004, 2005 and bought vacation homes. And those were the first homes to unload and add to the increase in inventory, the cascade in the housing market back then. This one is way bigger because so many more people bought VRBOs than vacation homes back then, all right? Now this story is out of summitdaily.com. It says, months into new regulations, short-term rental owners say they may need to sell their properties in Summit County. Now you can replace Summit County with almost any county in the country. Right now, cities and counties, governments are clamping down on short-term rentals. They have become so invasive and people want them gone. They want them done, and counties and cities are seeing the dollar signs and the added tax. And I've seen counties that are adding bed taxes and things like that. I haven't even read this story and I know how bad it is. And owners are going, we're getting squeezed so much. Our vacancy rate is skyrocketing. We're losing money. We're going to have to sell. And they're going to be selling at the worst time ever, which is good for you and me when we're getting ready for this crash, all right? And just so you know, we are already nationwide, median and an average sales price are down 8% nationwide since the peak of 2022, okay? So we are already in this real estate downturn. And just so you know, it's happening faster than what happened during the Lehman Brothers crisis. All right, second homeowners fear losing their foothold in the mountain community amid rules aimed at balancing the tourism economy with a need for more workforce housing. It says Laura James Breckenridge home is dotted. Breckenridge home is dotted with 45 years of family memories. A pot-bellied stove stands in the basement where, as a child, James smelled the aromas of coffee and oatmeal. We don't need to read all this stuff. When James and her husband purchased the home from James's parents in 2016, they had every intention of making new memories by keeping it in the family in order to afford the property. In addition to their primary residence in Colorado Springs, James said they turned to short-term renting. She says, we're not a big corporation. This is a family dream, James said. Our revenue is solely to cover our mortgage, our expenses, and our employment of local workers. The couple made it work for years, but now under new short-term rental regulations in Summit County, James says they are concerned about the ability to hold on to their Breckenridge property. In a statement, here we go. In February of last year, the Summit Board County of Commissioners, and this is just one example of counties and cities nationwide that are coming out with these rules because it's a cash grab. And it comes on the back of town hall meetings across the country where people are complaining of their neighbors renting out to all these people. There's parties, and it's becoming a big deal, right? Oh, and we have to add the migrant crisis right now that's going on. The idea that migrants can get in, they're looking at all these TikTok videos that are going viral, telling them how they can go and live in a house and squat in the house and maintain ownership of it. We're seeing stories like out of Hollywood where Airbnb mansions were taken over by squatters. They rented it for 3 or 4 days from Airbnb, and then they never paid again, and they were there for like a year and a half. These stories are making headlines everywhere, right? So Airbnb owners, VRBO owners, or short-term rental owners are going, oh crap, this is not good. And they're going to be dumping these on the market, and it's going to be a cascading price downwards because inventory is going to increase and the buyer pool is not going to increase because mortgage rates are not going down. Okay, so you can start seeing type 1 if you agree. You see these as opportunities when you put all the big picture together. Nobody's telling you this on the internet because they only have 1 or 2 little facts. They don't think of the big picture. This is how you start to identify big opportunities and cycles. So it says in February last year, the Summit Board County of Commissioners approved a package of short-term rental regulations in response to what they called a growing workforce housing crisis. We're seeing that all over the country. For residents, the rules, which went into effect this past fall in unincorporated Summit County, place varying caps on the number of licenses needed to operate a short-term rental and limit the number of bookings a property can have within a year. In a statement, Commissioner Tamara Prague said the board promised the public that they would review the county's current regulations after they had enough data to share so that the board could evaluate their success. Adding that the county staff is currently gathering that data. Prague stated, a review of sales tax data, again, comes back to money, right? Indicates stability and strength in the sector. Sales tax from short-term lodging category in January of 2024 was not only the largest January, but the 3rd largest month overall in the past 5 years. The county now joins a bevy of other mountain resort governments that have implemented short-term rental restrictions. Other policies in effect in most of the county's towns include Breckenridge, Silverton, Frisco, all that stuff. It says here, travelers come to Colorado, their families are looking for that short-term rental unit that is more than just a typical or standard hotel room should continue. So she's trying to advocate for this. But here's the other side. Affordable housing for locals in Summit County is an issue, said Hunter Foreman, who owns and operates a short-term rental in Wilderness just outside the town of Silverton. But by imposing short-term rental regulations on people that are providing places for people to stay for these vacationers in a tourist town, he continued, we are going to have extremely negative trickle-down effects. So what does that mean? Well, it means that it costs so much for these towns to operate and for people to live. These towns are dying, and I know this firsthand in some mountain towns, these resort towns, because all the employers, the restaurants, the banks, everyone, they can't get employees here because they can't pay them enough because the rents are so high for a 1-month rental because they are competing with all these short-term rentals. And it is becoming a massive problem. So the government is now stepping in and they're going to start to squash this. They're going to add taxes, fees, and limitations to the amount of days that a short-term rental can rent. So what's that going to do? It's going to crush the market. And so it's going to cause a flood of homeowners to sell their homes, their second homes that they've tried to start as a business. Many people in the last 2 or 3 years dove into short-term rentals, not in a good way. They were misled. They jumped in with the hopes of prosperity. I know someone personally that told me I was totally wrong when I warned him, and he bought 4 of them. And straight up, the cash flow wasn't what was promised by the real estate agent. Weird. The property management company, really weird. No, it's not weird. See, these are people that are telling you, giving you advice, and they have all to gain only if you do what they say. Pretty crappy. It's not like you're dealing with a fiduciary. So you can only see and understand, and again, type 1 if you agree, this is an opportunity coming. Be patient. The market is about to be flooded with homes nationwide, and I'm going to be there reporting on it. And we're going to be going all over the country, and we're going to be crushing it, buying home after home after home, and more than likely not from the owners. We'll be buying them from the banks. This is a long cycle, but trust me, it's going to be well worth it. I lived through 3 years of being called crazy from 2005 to 2008, and this one's just a bigger cycle, so it takes a little bit longer to go through because, well, our government's printing $1 trillion every 100 days. And guess what? There's a day, I know this sounds crazy because everyone goes, they'll just keep doing it. They actually want to stop because they want to watch exactly what I'm explaining, and they're going to go out and buy homes. So you better be ready. I hope you got something from this. The Real Estate Ninja is out.